Welcome to Tullahought and our Kilmacoliver Loop Walk. The walk was created in 2007 and has been extended this year when a shorter, less strenuous loop was also created. As we begin our walk, we passed by Croke's Well. This well was the main source of water for the village in days past and now provides fresh spring water to thirsty walkers. It feeds into our wildlife ponds, which are on our right as we walk along. The ponds, which were created in 2000, have become a haven for wildlife and are frequently used by school trips for nature studies. Continuing our walk, we pass by an old stage complete with milk churns, which was used to facilitate loading full churns onto a trailer for transporting to the creamery up to the 1970s. This road is known as the Long Pavement. It was paved during the famine and was used by Bianconi's coaches on their way to Carrick. It runs for a mile in a straight line through Tullahought village and is remarkable for its wide margins. The narrow road on our right is known as the Avenue. It linked the big house of times past, Kilmacoliver House, to the kennels for their hunting hounds. Our local sports field was acquired in 1956 as part of an allocation of land by the Land Commission. In the early years of the GAA, the area was predominantly used for football before hurling became more popular. Local footballers played on the renowned Slate Quarry and Limogue teams of the locality and the famed Kilkenny, New York teams of the early 20th century. On our journey we walk along country roads, farm tracks, pasture land and evergreen and deciduous woodland, surrounded by mature hedgerows, a haven for biodiversity and pollinators. Powellrone village, now home to a busy stables and just 4 residences, was once a tightly knit village community of small farms. Farming methods may have altered in the interim, but the use of the land remains virtually unchanged.
The oats are almost ready to be cut. It's hard work and the neighbours might help. And in case you're wondering, this stone is not from the Henny High Cross.
Our reaper is of course referring to the local legend about a farmer breaking a piece of the Henny High Cross to use as a sharpening stone. Braygon Boreen was paved around the 1930s, using stone from a nearby quarry which was first opened to construct farm buildings. The quarry was subsequently covered over with sods to create a hideout during the War of Independence and is known to this day as the Dugout. The hilltop location of the quarry meant that anyone approaching would be easily spotted. Along the brow of the hill from the quarry we have the present-day lookout, the Tullahought viewing tower and information point. The sod roof was removed when the quarry was reopened to pave the Boreen. Braygon Boreen is part of the old system of roadways that traverse this rural landscape, lined with fruit-bearing vegetation which in times past was a valuable food source for the inhabitants. Today, the harvest of blackberry, raspberry, wild strawberry, frihans, crab, sloes, elderberry, hips and haws are mainly consumed by wildlife.
Look what we have!
We are picking frihans for our mum to make jam.
Braygon, once a thriving village with its own flute band, is now abandoned. The last surviving farmstead, now lying in ruins, has been unoccupied since the 1980s, when the last elderly resident moved out.
Life is lonely up here, away from everyone, with no electricity or running water. And only the bit of news and the wireless. But there's always plenty to do around the farm. I'm going down to the village now for some messages in the local news.
This is how the Dwyer homestead looks today. We continue our walk past the sheltered rest stop and information panel. Translated to English, Braygon means a fast-running stream. Perhaps a suitable name for a racehorse, as Braygon, bred in Tullahought and named after the townsland, went on to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup in 1983. From here, looking out to the left, we see Black Bog Hill, which in times past hosted the Black Bog races, with a course and fences more challenging than those used in the Grand National at Aintree. Further along we see the Carrigan-Og Gallops, part of the Carrigan-Og racing stable, which has sent out many Grade 1 winners, the most notable being the Breeders' Cup, Irish Derby and 2 Melbourne Cups. Looking into the distance to the right, we can see the new bridge in Waterford, glistening in the sunlight. This wooded area belongs to the state company Cuilta and is comprised mainly of Sitka spruce with a scattering of larch and hemlock. Before the trees were planted, the area was mostly scrubland, with fantastic views of the river shore meandering towards the sea. A mass rock on the back of the hill overlooking the high crosses of Kilkieran and Ahenny served the people during penal days. Mill wheels, water troughs and stones used in the fitting of iron tyres to cartwheels were cut from the rock outcrops on the hillside. As you enjoy your picnic and the fantastic scenery, you can view the Kilmacoliver Stone Circle, which is over 5,000 years old and was built around the same time as the Knockrow Passage Tomb, which lies in the valley beneath us in the slate quarries and which has a winter solstice sunrise and sunset solar alignment. The Kilmacoliver Stone Circle is aligned to the cairn on the summit of Slievenamon, which we can see looking west into County Tipperary. A view from the Kilmacoliver Stone Circle of the Cummeragh Mountains to the south is obscured by the conifer plantation, as is the winter solstice sunset alignment. These monuments are part of a large collection of Neolithic monuments in the area which are similar to those in the Boyne Valley. As we walk down the hill, we can see Tullahought village beneath us and St. Nicholas's Church, which was constructed in 1885. The upper slope of this wooded area is known as the Blackboard, because prior to the plantation, when viewed from the valley, it appeared as a clean square, almost vertical field amongst the scrub on the hill and resembled a blackboard supported on an easel. This deciduous woodland was planted between 1997 and 2000. Alder, oak, larch, sycamore, beech and chestnut supplement existing hawthorn, blackthorn holly, hazel, birch and willow, which together with an underlay of bramble, briar rose, fern, sedges and grasses create a haven for biodiversity. We now head back towards Tullahought and the end of our walk. The village grotto, which you will see on the way, was erected in 1997. The block of white quartz, which forms the base for the statue, was transported from the Powellrone Hills close to the site of the dugout, with the statue of the Virgin imported from Italy. On the roadside beside the wildlife ponds, you will see a collection of cairn stones from the locality, which were used by the women of the house to grind corn by hand for the making of bread in days gone by. Finally, adjacent to our Loop Walk information panel, you will see the commemorative garden, which features the Declaration of Independence and 7 trees to represent each of the 7 signatories to the Declaration, which was created in 2016 to celebrate the centenary of the Easter Rising in 1916. Thank you for joining us on our tour of the Loop. Perhaps in the future you will enjoy it in person.